Quick greetings. Hello. Welcome to another video. I'm gonna start sharing my screen right away. We go um into these long ass videos. And today I'm not sure what our topic is. I feel like there's, you know, just things to look at. Uh but the general topic is I think my what I would like to do is okay. I I've been given a vision of sovereignty thanks to the likes of Anna von Reitz. Uh, and I guess I feel like my overall intention is to share that vision with our awakening American Indians who rightfully so, we just don't trust anybody. Everybody, we see, we think it's the Moors. And that's why I tend to talk a lot about the Moors because a lot of our people are immobilized and I think end up being stuck in the corporation for fear that anything outside the corporation is Moorish, and it's a real fear, I think, and I think it's kind of legitimate, in a way, but in another way, I just feel like the only way to assuage that fear is to learn from people who know better. And right now, I only see that, when it comes to the corporation, the state nationals, they are kicking ass. They are kicking corporation ass. And I think what I see the corporation doing is trying to privatize. Like they say, it's almost, this is what I'm getting. I could be off, but it seems the answer that the corporation has is to just sort of slip into actual, like, use the corporations as their, how do you say, their means of getting their like their surveillance on, like I feel like the government, the corporation, the United States corporation is doing all it can to, say for instance, hide behind someone like a Bill Gates. And so that means, so they're using their own tactic in reverse on themselves. So uh you know how they rename everything, right? So, but in this case, they are refashioning themselves, and you don't see their hand in someone like a Bill Gates or a Fauci. Like, we're gonna get shit done, but it'll never be traced back to us. It'll just be these very wealthy, well-to-do people making boss moves as if there's nothing stopping them. Like the way that, I'm trying to wrap my head around how someone like a Bill Gates can become like head of everything, like our food. He's trying to literally, like, where's he get, and see, that's where now you have a government that's all in your business, right? Trying to monitor everything you do. but Bill Gates gets to get into the food supply and unmonitored. Like how does that work? Somebody please explain. I'm just a American Indian, uh, trying to survive in his on his landmass, which he should be able to, right? But Bill and I'm monitored, like the new, I got my new phone finally. We had a sub conversation about the trials of getting a new phone. And this little baby, I already feel like my phone is a little device to monitor me, right? Now, my last phone was old, right? It didn't feel like this one does. And of course, I had to get some kind of nice phone, right? Oh, everybody got to have the best, right? It's not an iPhone. It is the Motorola 5G stylus. I've never had a phone with a stylus, but something this phone did, which I'm not recalling at the moment, made me feel like, oh, you watching me, boo boo, ain't you? You watching me, ain't you? It's like, you know what? So be it. What do I have to hide, really? Like at the end of the day, what the hell do I have to hide? I got my videos and I'm doing my thing. What am I, so, but I forgot what the phone did, but it just made itself known to me, It's like, oh, okay. This is the new even more surveillance. Well, one thing I've noticed, and this is not the phone, but there was a time when I could get on my phone's internet without having to use, say, my job's Wi-Fi, which you really don't want to, right? It's like, this is my business or whatever. I could use my phone, or take a look at my phone when I need to, but I'm finding that the phone won't go on the internet. Now I just got 5G, right? I have my EMF protection on the phone. I put 2 of them on there. Check me from them radiations and so I'm good there. The point is, with 5G, I still can't get on the internet. I have to use Wi-Fi. So what I'm seeing is that the new way is, well, listen, I gotta see how other people are dealing, but it's like you cannot get on the internet just by virtue of having a phone that has the internet. You have to use the Wi-Fi of wherever you're at. How can that be with 5G? In other words, if there's a stronger signal with 5G, how is it that I can't get on the internet unless I use the your firm's Wi-Fi? And why would I want to? But it's like you have no choice now. So I'm just feeling that the phone, that's why I feel like the phone is assisting in me getting monitored more. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't, it needs a Wi-Fi. It won't use its own. My last phone, I could get on the internet without tapping into somebody's Wi-Fi because the phone has Wi-Fi. So we'll see, because my phone this has just been a very long process. One thing I can say quickly before we get into this, I just want to skip this. For some reason, I want to start out with this article about Morocco recognizing the United States. And just to, we know this stuff already. It's just good to look at it at as many different angles, I guess. So this is just, and this is not what the whole video is going to be about. I think I'm going to be a little all over the place, unless, of course, the ancestors have me focus in on something. And then, of course, it becomes about that. And then I say I'll make another video another time. So, but I was talking about my food. What I did learn from, that's what I was going to say, Metro PCS. A shout out to Metro PCS because I feel like their customer service in a day and age when you feel like you're getting, I'm going to try to use the word shafted by everything that is a corporation. It's just nice to know that at least your phone people are acting like I deserve some respect. Some respect on HERU name. So but hey, they are, manufacturing the devices that spy on us. So I guess they are. But no, it still feels very nice to have such great customer service. And I was pleasantly pleased to find out I got a little bit of intel from the Metro PCS. I know a lot of people don't like, I don't know how many people use Metro PCS. I love them. I love them because I love the flat rate. That's my thing. I can't do with these every month is a different price stuff, So that's what I've always loved about Metro PCS. So I think people think that it's some kind of like an inferior service, but I find that it's just like any other. As far I've had other services, and I don't feel like Metro PCS is a downgrade. Definitely, for sure, not a downgrade. It's just a flat rate system that I really, really appreciate. I've always appreciated that, and now their customer service is so wonderful. The phone service. Now, when you go into a Metro PCS store, that is a different beast, okay? And the intel I got, was yesterday, is that my wonderful customer service on the phone told me we fitting to shut all of that down. I said, say what now? He said they're getting rid of the Metro PCS stores. And you know what? Actually, they're useless at this point. They are being run by people. The guy on the phone told me he was giving out all the secrets. I'm like, wow. He said, they're not even going by our protocol anymore. He said the store, the branches, they're not going to trainings. They don't know about the devices. Somebody is hijacking the franchises. And these, I think the store owners or the franchise owners are taking some kind of deal where they are not trying to sell Metro PCS phones. They're getting some kind of deal to sell phones that are, I don't know where they're getting these phones from. But they're always offering some fucking deal, and they don't have your phone. Like, they have a whole display, and hardly, I can't even say that they have one of the phones that they have on display. They are selling phones that they want to sell and advertising phones that Metro PCS is supposed to be selling. But he's saying, we fitting to shut all of that down. I was like, baby, yes, do it. Do it. I was all in the conversation. I'm like, you know what? First of all, with the new store hours everywhere, that's another thing. I don't know if New Yorkers are, feeling this new thing where everything closes early now. You can't leave your job and guarantee that you're going to make it to a store because their new hours are shit. So I'm trying to, partly what took me so long getting a new phone is I just simply couldn't get to a Metro PCS in time. Your job is your job. Sometimes you're not able to leave, and very often not able to leave exactly on time. And usually I don't, because we have to do time tickets. So usually what I think a lot of our staff does is they wait till the end of the day to do their time, because you're doing, you're doing work for your clientele, and so you figure I'll do my you know like administrative stuff or whatever, time entries or whatever. I'll do them after, so I never really leave at 7, when I'm supposed to leave. So I can't make a damn. The stores are all closing at 8. All of them. It used to be they had different, and that's another thing. It used to be they had different times. You couldn't make one, you could make another. Now everything is becoming across the board, closed at all different branches at the same time. So I don't know what the corporation is doing lately, but it seems they don't want us to be able to go to the store or go shopping at a certain, after a certain hour. So I was very pleased to hear that Metro PCS, they're going to get rid of the riffraff. And when he told me that, the store, the franchises, the branches are not even going to training. They don't know. He said they don't know the devices. They don't know how to use them. They have, again, they pull out a phone from behind the counter that is not on display, and they start telling you how wonderful this one is and how much it's just like the one you wanted. Yeah. I guess I kind of look forward. I hate to say it, because you would like to think that you could walk into a store and get what you need, but they have a game. They're running game. And the phone representative told me that, he says the company feels like the branches are losing our customers instead of keeping. Now, when you call Metro PCS, they praise you for your long-term commitment, for being a client, patron or whatever for so long. And I told him, well, thank you, but when I go into the store, we don't get that treatment. In fact, the guy told me that, well, you're a long-term, so we don't have to really, So in other words, he's telling me, we got you, so we don't gotta impress you. We got you. We gotta get the new people. And he was like making a joke out of it, and I did find it funny, but the joke was on me. I did laugh. I'm like, oh yeah, I figured, yeah. But it's like, well, why? That is the new model, though. Even with cable companies, like they are giving all the sweet deals to new arrival fools, and then once you're a regular, you find that programming is it never changes practically. You don't know when you're going to get new movies. There is no certain. They used to have a certain, every month. That's what I recall back in the day. Every month you were guaranteed new movies, a whole new lineup. Now, the way cable is today, oh my God. Well, definitely you're not going to get anything different for at least a year or more. So you're going to be watching the same crap till it drives you near batty. And it's like, I feel like my life is deja vu. My life has become deja vu with this fucking, yet I'm paying out the yazoo for the same crap. How do you stay in business like this? So I got rid of cable. It's like and the companies. See, this is what I'm talking about. Corporations, man, they become something, and especially lately, that it's not. They have something to sell you that you didn't sign up for, but they are determined to sell it to you. And then they lack. It's all about a monthly payment for the same bullcrap. All they care about is, are you going to pay us every month? We trying to like retire. That's what we trying to do. You need service. Well, hey, that's not my problem. You know, it's like you get what I give you, and you pay for it, and you pay more and more and more as the years go by. Why? Why am I paying more for less? Why? What business sense? Oh yeah, yeah, it makes sense for you, but not for the people you're serving. So, like, how do we frame this cop? Why is Heru ranting on irrelevant crap? We just looking at. I realize, yes, it relates. It shows you what a corporation is these days. Okay, now our government has been ratchet. You know, they've been ratchet. They've been broke contract. Been. And again, what's our disclaimer? Our disclaimer is that we're not anti-government. We're anti-fraud. Okay, get it right. You gotta talk to fraud. It's not, you know, you don't even have to call the, you know, you don't even have to really, well, no, I think I'm not, let me not get ahead of myself. I do think that the corporate model is foreign to the Americas, and it is. That's just a fact. But it's making us, our Indians, feel like, you know, our only solution is become a corporation, and that is how we help the foreigner to get their models on our land. We can come up with a different one that works for the people, and it's not about serving private interest hiding in a corporation. You know, monarchies hiding behind a corporation. And speaking of that, this article, it just had little key words that I found. You know, I'm reading it, and you know what we have to understand when we read about how Morocco recognized the United States. Well, we as Indians, we got to be very clear. That has nothing to do with us, okay? It's a foreign entity recognizing another foreign entity, hoping, it basically communicating, ooh, now that you're in, can we get some of that? What you're going to be getting from these Indians? So let's just begin to look at this. Okay, so the name of this article, From Inside of Arabia, the Moors think that we, you know, that this is us. The Moors think that Morocco represent us. Well, are you Arabian? You know, they got it clear on their website. You know, their little, you know, excuse me. And then the names. See, a lot of our brothers take on these names, and it's almost like you're taking on the name is linking it's taking you off the land by that alone. You know, watch out for shit that be renaming. Why I gotta have a new name when I join a religion? Because it's a little more than that, right? There's a little more to it, right? It's a jurisdiction thing, right? I mean, you're tying yourself to a monarchy. You leave one monarchy and you run to another. And that's what this kind of article kind of showed me. But let's just look. Morocco's recognition of U.S. independence. So we have a monarchy that's going to run in because they feel that we got rid of Britain or whatever. And can we be your friends now? Another monarchy coming. Can we be your friends? We be your new friends now. Reckon why and why? Well, Anna did speak to this. She said something that was a little troubling, but it said something about only a sovereign can, what did she say? I forgot what, but only a sovereign can Oh, I can't. So another word, ooh, was it give title or something like that? Like give land title or something like that. Only a sovereign can do like land. I think land. It has something to do with land. I think. So once the Indians are stripped of their sovereignty, now these other sovereigns come and they're able to grant, what's the word? It happened when yeah, when Anna spoke about, she was speaking about King William, um who had the power to excuse me, I'm so sorry. I'm just starting and yawning. This is not good. I'm not recalling it right now, but it's something that only sovereigns can do. So this seems to be, part of why we were seen as sinners, because the idea with the formal religions, like Islam and their kingdoms, and even in England and their kingdoms, is that if you are seen as a sinner, you lose all of your sovereign, anything sovereign that you thought you had, if for instance, Roman Catholic Church says, nope, you don't belong in existence as a free sovereign because you're not following Jesus, or you don't know Jesus. So you're a slave, and the entity now assumes control of your natural resources. There's just, if people can't see that there is a problem with that, and I'm basically talking to Christians, because I think Christians, they're not seeing the big picture. This is a whole system. And what you find is that it really is not about any Jesus or any God at all. It's about a foreigner getting access to your resources and being able to take them freely without having to pay you, because it's theirs now. You are a slave, is the general picture. So let's look at how this other monarchy uh, swindles its way to our natural resources by dealing with the foreigner, but not really dealing with us. Okay, it is what I'm seeing. Okay, so today Morocco is celebrating the 19th anniversary of the ascension of King Mohammed the Fourth. I'm sorry, the Sixth. Oops, to the throne. Long ago in the 18th century, one of his ancestors, Sultan Muhammad III, led Morocco into an era of openness with respect to other nations of the world that exist to this day, especially manifest in the long-standing relationship between Morocco and the United States. So reading that, it's like, so there's this king sitting on his throne in a foreign country, and he decides it's time to broaden what, though? You're a king, right? So when you go to uh you know what is it, Re respect other nations of the world, what are you really what are you really after? Well, why do we need your respect? Oh, and let's just keep reading this article, because you'll find that they're telling on themselves. It was really for your personal gain. It's not because you're a friendly person or some shit like that, right? It's about, you got something I want. I'm a king and I'm going to find a way to get it. And furthermore, I'm not going to deal with the Indians of the land. So that right there is telling you a lot, right? Okay. So the reign of Sultan Sidi Muhammad III of Morocco from 1757 to 1790 signified three major indications of considerable change in the orientation of Moroccan foreign policy with respect to politics and trade with other nations. So something, what did he say? Signified major change. You know what? You had no resources, and now you need major change, right? Okay. The first was the establishment of Morocco's capital in Mogador, now Essaouira. I'm sorry, Essaouira. I don't know. On Morocco's Atlantic coast. So you got to position yourself where you could most easily cross that ocean to get to them resources. We got to move the capital. We're situated where we can be friendly with them the people that took over the American Indians. Okay. While previously the seat of Morocco's capital had been in several inland cities. Okay, so you were interfacing more with Africa and Europe, I guess, with those inland cities, until I guess realize ain't nothing much to be had over there, right? Okay, that's what I'm just saying. My common sense is telling me this. You got okay. So such as several inland cities, such as Fez and Marrakech or Marrakesh. The move to a newly designated capital on the shores of Morocco was making some changes once America got on the scene, yo. They just moved their capital. They going through some changes, yo. It's like, oh shit now. That king said, get thee out of here. Get me over there. Okay. That Sultan said, I'm done with this bullshit. Now I'm about to get really, really paid now. The move to a newly designed capital on the shores of the Atlantic Ocean had so clearly to get to us, right? Sent an important signal of openness. Help! Was that the signal? SOS. Oh yeah, save our ship, right? Because they all about ships, right? Openness and potentially beneficial to who? Trade exchanges with countries. Now, America ain't going through all this, right? We don't see you. We just here doing our thing. Morocco's over there. Oh, hold now. Wait a minute. we don't see you, we don't recognize you. We just do it, okay, well, we not, the Indians are still, I'm just saying. So we over here, on our landmass, and Morocco going through changes, baby. Okay. Okay, so she done moved herself to the Atlantic coast. She getting like a bride getting ready, right? Ooh, shit. Ooh, okay. Like Cinderella, right? Okay. The move to a newly designated capital on the shores of the Atlantic Ocean sent an important signal of SOS and potentially beneficial trade exchanges with countries overseas. What countries? America. Come on now. Say it. Say it. Second, Modagar's architecture was itself new. Oh yeah, she pretty herself up for America, right? And unprecedented in a shift away from traditional or conventional. We done forced these people to do a makeover, baby. Conventional Moroccan architecture. Now she's trying to look a little more American, I guess. And it's so funny how they took the last part of our name. I'm saying the word Moroccan, and all I'm saying is all you need is an A or American, right? It's like they try, really. And that's why the Moors is so, their little word spells are very interesting. And again, it has to do with knocking off the first letter very often. So now they want to be like a little America without the A, huh? Is that what you got? Expelled from America, and so you can't say America, but you can still try to live off of our. Hopefully, the name spell will grant you something, right? Amara. It's kind of scary what they do with words. Now I'm looking at this word Moroccan, and it's like clearly it's the rest of it's a play on America. But let's be very clear, America is the old world. Older than who took whose name on, huh? All right, let's just get it right. Okay. No, we're not secondary to Morocco. But the Moors need first birthright status in order to lay claim over the firstborn. So they don't like first things. They take the first letter off of a word because it's not, that's the spell, y'all. That is how the spell works. You got to take the first of everything off because they're not into first. They're into secondaries, right? So you got to word spell everything. The word has to reflect what you're doing. I'm chopping off the firstborn. So a first letter of a word is like, that's really the firstborn of the word, you could say. So you take off any first letter, and that's how your spell begins to do what it does, what you need it to do. Moroccan. And then they're the first to recognize. So you chop off the American Indian and you get in bed with the foreigner on American Indian land so you can get at their resources and lay some kind of claim on America by getting with our enemy. Well, at that point, we were not acting as enemies. The whole thing was thought out, man, when I really think about it. It was to get at us. Like, of course we're going to fight with the foreigner against Britain, right? Because it's on our landmass. So we were pulled into. That's how, I guess that's how the war games go. You get pulled into a war. So you as an American Indian watching subjects of a king fight the king, naturally you're going to have to side with the foreigner, right? Right? Everything I'm telling you, psychology and what was studied when it came to taking over the Americas from the American Indians. But we'll see what wins out, right? American Indians, we'll see in the end. Is the power of your ancestor more than some psychological games? I'm going to have to say yes, okay? Because your ancestors, see, that's the whole point of getting you to go against your ancestors. Now, American Indians, I want you to hear this, please. Y'all going to be mad at me because you think I'm pushing Tameri, because you think I'm trying to make you Egyptian, whatever. And then you want to be American Indian. Okay. Here's the thing. You have to go to first. Now, just like I just said, the Moor is going to try to get you to fall for secondary. They're the second born. They're considered secondary. So if you don't go to your first, already you're falling into the game plan of your enemy. What is the game plan? Keep them away from the first. Keep them away from their first. What was your first big civilization in the Americas, American Indians? It was Tameri. All the world knows this. And the American Indian, even in our awakening, we're still resisting this. Don't throw out the baby of the awakening with the bathwater. we still have a duty to get to our first and to appreciate. That is how you embrace your most powerful ancestors, the ones who have been we might say the ancestors that have been gone over the longest are the wisest, right? The ancestors that's been gone the longest. Might they be more important than say your Nana that just moved on last week? So Nana is in a place she ain't used to, right? I ain't making fun of your Nana. I'm just saying. She's still trying to figure out shit. She just got over on the other side, right? But you have ancestors that have been there for like ever, unless they came back, of course. Or the ones who choose to come back in the newborns of your family, So wouldn't it behoove us to go as far back as possible? I know that it's important because I know that the Moors, their influence is pretty damn, I have to hand it to them. I didn't realize how far back they went back until I got real with the Mongolian Empire and and to me, what I'm seeing is as an empire, they didn't get really popping until the 14th century, more or less, was I think that really the height of, the 13th and 14th century, like the 1200s to the 1500s, maybe. That was more Mongolian, I guess, Now the people were already here, though. Now the people themselves, the people that would become basically Mongolian, they were here since at like the 2000s BC, like 2900 BC, 2500 BC. That's where you're getting, Samaria and the Maya, So, but those were, as we said, basically the re-educated TV video really helped to put that into perspective. And then also looking at the dynasties of ancient Tameri, where I remember I was kind of shocked when I realized Set appears in the second dynasty. So, so the change took place around the second dynasty, which would have been 2900 BCE. That's when you have a new race. And so they and that race was I'm going to put out that it, from what I've looked at and from what I'm hearing being said by the likes of Farrakhan and what the phenotype that that was here, it was Mongolian, East Asian, so it was Arabic. It looked Arabic, it looked like an Arab. So it had the skin of a Tarmarian, but the phenotype had hair like a Caucasian. So the people were here. It's just that it takes time to tear them away from mother, which is Tamari. So you got to tear them away over time. You start, first of all, you're judging them on their looks, so that those are the people that you can tear away. You're going by. So that's how it was done. It started out with, first you got to break away from the origin, and you got to make a race that's secondary. So we're going away from the firstborn. Again, it's taking something secondary and making it as if it's primary. So Morocco is like the ass end of Tamerica or America. So they take, it's a form of America. Even their capital, Marrakesh, another form of the second part of America. But America had already been changed from Tameri to America. That was a word spell as well. So you take ta and you put it like Horace Butler said in the video, one of the videos we saw. You take ta Mary and you take ta and put it on the back of Mary, and then you just make it Mary Ta. But you put, you stick a little A on there, and so it's I'm Mary Ta. They had to be a little creative with America because they didn't want us to very easily deduce that it was Tom Mary. So you did put an A on it. Yeah. And A is an interesting letter, where did the alphabet come from with the A B? So is their letter A really the first letter? You know what I'm saying? Because it does look like A was used a lot of times in the front of a word, like amen, where it was Ra turned into amen. So I'm now thinking A might be a word, part of the word spelling, because only in the, what is it? What is that alphabet that we're using? It's in English, right? Or, so if the English language was meant to cast spells over, like a compromised version of our American Indian languages. So I would think that A may not be a first, you know what I'm saying? Because you don't want them to start with first, we kind of see the same thing happening a little bit with the number system. It was the 0 comes before number 1, technically, but we're starting with the secondary. So the whole spell that we're under is a removing of first things and making the second thing the thing, the go-to, the first thing you hear. That is the spell. And who would it be working against? Only American Indians as the firstborn. So everything now secondary becomes primary to get rid of our place, is what I'm getting. Okay, so yeah, so back to Morocco going through all these changes, and we don't even know about her, right? But she know all about us, right? American Indians don't know about none of, but she know all about us, and apparently, she's trying to get with our colonizers. The first was the establishment of Morocco's capital in Mogadar, now Essaouira, Essaouira, I don't know, on Morocco's Atlantic coast. While previously the seat of Morocco's capital had been in several inland cities such as Fez and Marrakesh. Hmm. Hmm. The move to a newly designed capital on the shores of the Atlantic Ocean sent an important signal of openness and potentially beneficial trade exchanges with countries overseas. Come on, just say America, okay? There's only one set of landmass on the Atlantic coast away from Africa, right? So just say who it is. Countries overseas. Second, Modagar's architecture was itself a new unprecedented. In a shift away from traditional or conventional Moroccan architecture, the city looked more European. So they are prettying themselves up to attract our colonizers. They are putting on a European face to attract not American Indians, right? but to attract the colonizer. Look, we with you now. Ooh, ooh. Oh gosh. The city looked more European in style and was in fact considered modern by that era's standards. They prettying themselves up for our resources, American Indians. They said, we finally got somebody over there. The Moors was like, yes, cousin so-and-so done finally took them Negroes over. Time to put our pretty dress on. So now they're Europeanized, right? They get ready. It's like we about to get in bed with some American stuff. Let's put this shit on. Third, the Sultanate accorded more importance to maritime trade and focused on tolerance and diversity to encourage more and mutually. Baby, what we had over here, they was fitting to get their feast on. They are going through changes. Oh, they doing the most over here. Okay. Oh boy, man. What did we have that they needed? I still think, besides resources, again, there's something about the firstborn. You just got to get with it. If you can trick them into thinking that they're not firstborn and then take over their land, will the ancestors, be fooled and bless you or not? We don't want to be less. Add to you. If you can get the firstborn to, but see, they forget that the ancestors, they see this, they see what's going on. They know that the ancestors would know when your heart is against them knowingly. They would know this. They would know if you've been tricked. They would know if you've been lied to. And that's why America has remained, because you can't do this to a people. It's unnatural in terms of their ancestors are always going to know them, no matter what you try to do with your, your devilish shit, your spelling, your word spell. They really are not going to really stick, because for someone to reject their ancestor, it has to come from their heart. It has to, or the ancestor won't receive it. I mean, it only makes sense. You have to, there has to be something of you that's genuinely you, of sound mind and sound body, that is rejecting your ancestors. Like, for instance, I'm going to get a little personal, and I'm going to ask my ancestor to forgive me in advance. I'm just using her as an example of how you can really reject your ancestor if you take it too far. But and it's another thing, you can catch yourself, because there's no time where the ancestors are. So one of my ancestors, and she is now an ancestor, she told me that she was going to leave me something. Now, I didn't ask for this. I didn't ask for this. She declared to me that upon her passing, let's just say, I'm gonna be good. Okay. I'm not going to get into the conversation we had that I think led to her making this declaration, but suffice to say, it had nothing to do with her leaving me anything. It had nothing to do with me talking about, uh, you know, I I could say it. I had been heavily ah into doing the whole lottery thing, and I told her that, and I guess in an effort to, I don't know, make me feel reassured, because I was very, and when I told her this, I wasn't, in other words, I'm trying to say, I don't know what she's working with. I don't know what she had. I don't, I didn't know her. She wasn't a wealthy woman. So me talking to her about, my lottery playing, it had nothing to do with, it wasn't me asking her for something, or even subliminally. I had been playing with my job, we had like a regular you know well, we would play regularly. And it went on for years. Now Corona kind of changed it because we were working from home, and so it stopped. But at one point it was very regular, very regular. And I think I was just talking to her in terms of that. Uh, so trust me, I wasn't trying to get her to do anything. And that I could swear, or, if I had to, that wasn't what my heart was doing. That's not what it was. But anyway, she suddenly declared that, well, that you're the beneficiary. And I'm like, huh? Yeah, I made you the beneficiary of my insurance policy, something like that. And I didn't even know how to respond to that. All I know is this. This is what I learned from this. When someone tells you something like that, it is almost like it breaks it. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that never happened, you know, and I'm not, and for it bothered me. It bothered me to the point where I was angry, because from what it looked like to me, so someone else in the family after she passed, it's almost like, that there's one family member that all of a sudden needs a new furniture, you know. And so in my heart of hearts, I thought, so that's the person who got something. That's what I felt. And I just couldn't help what I felt. I got as far as inquiring, because I really felt that I was cheated. And I was not happy with that answer, with my ancestor. And I said it. I in my heart, I knew that she knows that I'm very pissed off, because why would you tell me something like that? I didn't ask you for that. You voluntarily told me that. You don't do that to people, you know, because then when you pass on, they're going to be side-eyeing you I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. I'm not saying I was hard up like that. I'm just saying I expected something that didn't happen, and I was disappointed. I say all that to say, that's how you get at an ancestor. It has to be from your heart. You have to have some malice. No, I'm not going to call it. It wasn't really malice. I was, what is the word? I was highly disappointed and I was angry at her. I couldn't help it. Because I think what had happened, I think at that point I had been misled before, and it felt like it happened again, you know, and I have no shame in talking about it. As I said, I've forgiven my ancestor. I have, because she was much more to me than a fucking payday. You have to get real with yourself at some point and say, this is not what we were about in her life. In fact, she is an aunt that respected me. In another instance where I had to come to her and basically I had to make a how do I say this? Okay, so I'm telling the story. I might as well tell it. My mother passed, and my mother had jewelry that was to go to my baby sister. The aunt that took basically fostered my baby sister after my mother passed. This is a different aunt. But this aunt that I'm talking to you about now, the one who told me that I was the beneficiary, she had my mother's jewelry, and the aunt that was taking care of my baby sister didn't have the jewelry. So my sister didn't have access to it. So I had to go to this aunt and ask her to give me my mother's jewelry to give to my sister. What she had explained to me at that time, and she was, I came to her and I came to her basically demanding to have my mother's jewelry. So it was the first time I really, stood up like that. But she was extremely respectful of that, and I never forgot that. She honored me as my mother's firstborn, and she went and got the ring and gave them to me. So this aunt, she gave me my props, even if she didn't give me what she promised me. She was more than a payday for me. But yet I still was very disappointed that she would tell me that and not follow through. And so in her death, I was still angry at her. I was still, and I couldn't help it. But anyway, she told me her reason for holding the ring. She did not feel that my sister would have gotten them from my aunt that had them. So she kept them for my sister, so that when my sister came for them, she would give it. And I believe her. I know that that's what she was going to do. How do I know? Because she gave them to me. She could have kept them. She could have said, no, I'm going to keep them like I intended to. But she gave them to me without even, she, and for that, I realized I can't explain. It was just an act of total respect, because I did feel like I was bossing up on her, and it felt odd, because she's my older aunt. But she respected me as a young man. And I've long forgiven my aunt. Sometimes when I think about it, I still get a little, I'm a little bit, I could have really used that, but no, I won't have money come between me and the love for and from my aunt, my ancestor. So now that I've gotten all personal, so sorry. I don't, um that is how you would dishonor, shall we say, or have be at odds with your ancestors. But what I don't think these nefarious forces understand is that you can't keep me from from what my ancestors have for me with nefariousness, because it will never be genuine. It will, and it's almost like, let's just, there's no other way to say it. You can't do it because it won't register to the ancestor as being from the heart of their descendant. You know, it won't register. They'll know the difference when it's from my heart versus when someone is manipulating me and I don't even know that I'm disrespecting my ancestor. So just want to throw that out there. But let's see. I don't want to really spend a whole lot of time on this article, but it did have some interesting things that give you a little insight, right? Already we got a big insight. Morocco, it's almost like she's a fading Southern Belle, like in Gone with the Wind. And there's a chance for her now to renew her wealthy status by getting in bed with the colonizer of America. So she's prettying up herself like what was her name in Gone with the Wind? You know, and Cal Burnett puts on the whole curtains in the window because she gotta, make look good. That's what it looked like Morocco is doing here. Little, their little stuff, they need some new funds. So they grab that curtain out the window and they, move a little operation close to be closer to that wealth. So if Africa had all this stuff, why would Morocco, which is in Africa, why would they be all getting all prettied up and gussied up and moving they capital? Look, now we got a new European look. Ain't y'all supposed to be doing that for Africa? Getting, if they got the diamonds and the da, and they so got this and got that, why are you gussing yourself up for America, boo? You want some of this, baby? You want some of this Negro stuff? But you got to come in the back door because we ain't having that shit. I'm trying to tell y'all, ain't nothing Moroccan or whatever. They ain't our friends. They're the friends of our enemy, or those who are, planting themselves on our landmass. They friend. They trying to be their friend. But that friends like that, you don't need enemies. Because if all you want me for is for what I got, you're not a friend to even to my enemy, really. You're all just two thieves together, And then if somebody get a better deal and it ain't gonna work to share it with the other thieves, bye. you. So, they done changed their architecture, y'all. Third, the Sultanate accorded more importance to maritime trade and focused on tolerance. Okay, so now we can't be too Islamic, right? Gotta get some gotta get with the Christians, whatever. And diversity to encourage more and mutually beneficial trade, all about trade, right? I feel like trade is another word for thievery in all of this. To encourage more mutually beneficial thievery relations with Europeans now that they're in America and other maritime powers instead of relying on domestic tax collection. Aha. Interesting that they compare it to tax collection and inland trade with sub-Saharan. If they got everything, then what more you need? Instead of relying on all those diamonds and gold, we want to make sure that America can help us out. Please. Ooh, you laugh, but it does make us angry at the same time, doesn't it, American Indians? That's why American Indians, as we read this, I guess the only message I really want is you don't want to get in bed with a corporation. Why? Because they will still control your resources. They're not seeing you as something that if you become part of them, they don't see you as someone they have to come to answer to. You're just a little part of me. So whatever I do, you're just gonna go with it because I done put you under my jurisdiction. And a lot of I think our Indians, I think they have a mind, either they don't have a mind for what independence looks like and being in real control looks like, or they're just scared. You know, it could be a combination of both. You know, the corporation is very intimidating. Let's not kid ourselves. That's part of the whole game. Is they that's how they got your mama, you know, to sign that birth certificate stuff. She felt that if she didn't, something gonna happen, right? Or the Fed's gonna cut. If she don't do it, then something ain't gonna be right? So it's like duress. But we get in bed with the corporation. The corporation getting in bed with Morocco like they did here. You don't have a say if you're under it. You don't have a say. The corporation will bullshit you, go beyond its 19 enumerated functions, and you'll be just, you know, not have any say. You'll have a secondary, and when you are supposed to have a primary. So that's why the whole goal here. And again, if we keep reaching for secondary, I'm telling you, I think we're gonna watch Anna video. And I want you to see the authority that she's taken. Now, if she's going for that kind of authority, first place, and the American Indians are just trying to get along, get by to get along with the corporation, I'm telling you, the state nationals will be running the American Indians because the government is going to have to respect what the state nationals are doing because the state nationals are not trying to work with the corporation. They're telling the corporation that you are under me. That's why the corporation seems to be melting and morphing into, like, I think this isn't an exaggeration, but look at it like this. The United States corporation is going through a very tough period right now. They got the state nationals doing the most. And they're revealed. The jig is up. They know I think the corporation knows the American Indians are still not quite aware because we're the ones that's looking, for, I think if we incorporate, oh, we good now, or we try, those are trying to get federally recognized, the corporation, okay, they still fool, they still trying to be our little bitch, okay, good. But the state nationals threaten all of that because they're not lowballing the corporation. They are letting the corporation know, look, we see your fraud. And we know that you don't have that kind of authority. But the American Indians still think, oh, well, let's just try to get along with daddy because we don't want to make him mad. You know what he did to us in the past, right? And so if he just give us a 501 or whatever, or and we good with daddy. He not mad at us. And we come to daddy and tell him, he come give him all our information, what we doing when we get together. Just give him the breakdown so he feel okay and he know we not coming, not trying to be independent and stuff. And we not trying to be sovereign no more. We just want to be a little corporate entity and see if you can give us some of that cheddar, our own cheddar. If we, you can give us our own cheddar, we'll take it however you just, please, daddy, please. It's like, that's not how the ancestors wanted us to do this. I'm so sorry. That's not what they meant when they said, wake up, bitches. This is Moo. This is not what they meant. I'm not trying to diss us. I'm just trying to say there's so much more for us Indians. We don't have to be begging the corporation. If we take charge, no one is going to stop us. They can't. They don't have the authority. And again, the reason why we don't have to have a bloody revolution is because we already did that. We did. We did that already. That's why we have the Constitution. The Constitution is our proof of the fraud. So that's why we don't really want to give up the Constitution. Because the minute we do that, that takes away all culpability, all responsibility, because it's like they're going to be, the corporation's going to be able to say, we don't have no obligation to you. We have to show them, yes, you do. Yes, the fuck you did. You're the one who went above and beyond our sovereignty. And again, they're doing it through commerce. So that's why I really think that once we do get them back on track, we got to let them know, you know what? Now that y'all know your place, here's how this is going to change. We have the authority to change our Constitution. We're the only ones who do have that authority. The corporation can't call its own shots. So I think we have to curtail commerce. I think we have to make a distinction between commerce and trade, at the very least. Meaning, don't call everything that's inland commerce, because it's not. Commerce takes place on the high seas. Trade takes place between states. And really anywhere in the Americas, any part of the Americas. We shouldn't be, taxing our own like that. No, there should be free trade among the states. Now, when it comes to dealing with foreigners, then it's going to be more a commercial thing, but that's going to be seriously revamped too, because here's the thing: corporations, they have to be watched. Meanwhile, they trying to watch us. They doing the most trying to watch us, but they're the only thing that has to be watched. That's why I really wonder how it has to be done over. That's all I can tell you. We got to get, well, how about this? Government can't be corporation. It can't be a for-profit corporation. The government cannot be a for-profit corporation. That's where now with a real corporation like Amazon, okay, yes, that is an entity that can be for profit. But your government It should not be, because it's going to, then that becomes their authority, not the people. Then it becomes whatever can we do to make more money? Fuck the people. See, your government should never have any way to fuck you. In fact, you have all the fucking power when it comes to your government, because you're the ones that say fuck off. Okay, you're getting it wrong. Bye. Okay, so yeah, all this trade focused on tolerance. Okay, so they didn't want to have to rely on all them diamonds in Africa. Tax collection. But imagine if they're in bed with our colonizer, and what if they're getting our taxes? Now, because that sentence is very interesting. Instead of relying on domestic, ain't you supposed to rely on your domestic shit? See, but when you're a king and all of that, you feel like, no, I can go throw my weight around in other places as well. Why should I just rely on the wealth of my country when I'm a king? Can't I find ways to fatten my pockets overseas? That's when you get too big for your britches. Like, why you gotta have more than your countrymen do? Instead of relying on domestic tax collection. And why would a monarchy need tax collection? Because I'm saying, if your government is not a monarchy, then really there's no need for all this taxing, you know. But if it's a monarchy, they looking to get paid and tribute and all of that stuff, right? So they looking for ways to be above and beyond the average quote unquote citizen of their land, right? So they didn't want to rely just what else are you going to rely on? That's your country. If anything, them is your people. You know, why should you be at such an advantage over the people? Unless you're not really for the people. So I can't get over that sentence. Instead of relying on domestic tax collection, I'm going to go try to collect taxes around the world. That's to me, that's the only logical way to read that sentence. I'm not going to rely on domestic tax collection. I'm going to rely on foreign tax collection, right? Wouldn't that be what that infers? And instead of inland trade with those poor sub-Saharan Africa, namely through the caravan trade with Timbuktu to raise revenues, they like, fuck the caravan, we're going to hit that Atlantic. They act, in other words, they acting like caravan is the hard way to go. Wouldn't the Atlantic be harder? Well, I don't know. It depends, I guess. Sultan Sidi Mohammed III championed Morocco's new policy of reaching out. Yeah, because it's going to fatten your pockets. We just learned that from the last paragraph. Championed Morocco's new policy of reaching out to other nations. He sought to establish peaceful and friendly relations with the Christian policy. That's where the tolerance had to come in. With money is the bottom, baby. Fuck what our God said about Christians. We need that cheddar, right? So what does God have to do with it if you compromise your beliefs that the infidel Christians? See, as I'm telling y'all, they all in bed together. When I say that it's one entity, I mean that shit. One entity united by mammon, cheddar, riches, the prospect of more money or more gold and silver. That's what unites the monotheistic religion. Now, I'm not saying all the followers of these religions are aware of this, but let's face it, we're talking about some form of nobility that lives within these monotheistic religions. Who else wants all that power but a king or a sultan? That is what monotheism is about, y'all. Wake up! You think it's about one God? When these people are willing to get in bed with anybody who has the money, what does God have to do with that? So the people are being sold an idea of a one God system, but really it's one monarchy with 3 different faces. What am I saying? I'm saying it's time for the little people, because that's exactly how they see you, to stop being so simple-minded with this one God idea. If they were really about the God that they serve, right, they would not get in bed with someone of another faith, because your God said there's no other God, right? That if you honored that God, you wouldn't deal with any other people that have a different monotheistic God. Oh, sounds so oxymoronic, but let's go with it. But the people don't get it. They got you divided, but they're united under what? Money, wealth, more power. But you thinking, well, I'm just trying to worship so-and-so because he's this, he's that, he's the wonderful, he's the mighty. That he don't factor to your hierarchy. He don't matter. They are compromised. What we just said, they had to be more what? Tolerant now? Because what? There's money to be had, right? So your God, he don't like the people, but he like their money. Right? So you have to somehow put on your face to get in bed with not the people, but the colonizers of the people, who should really not, it's so it's some bullshit, y'all. But yet, they see, that's the disadvantage, is that they will unite the tops of these religions. They will unite when money is involved, but you never do. The people, you trying to make money, not the thing, but the people you under, they all about that. So where does that leave you? The religion is betraying you, is what I'm trying to say. It's betraying you. You're doing all you can to be true to the deity. Meanwhile, the ones who told you about the deity and promoting the deity, it's a free-for-all when it comes to chasing that dollar. That's why you need to get out of that kind of religion. I'm sorry. This is what's at the top of it, y'all. They chasing each other because one got in a landmass that got the wealth, and so now we got to compromise now. Our God said, okay, now you could be friends with them now. But why? Does it have anything to do with the people doing right or being the people following a certain religion? No. It's about they got that money, and that's what we want because we are kings and stuff. With the illusion that they are more godly than the people. That's why they kings and stuff, because God put them there. That's what monotheism is serving, though. It's serving some monarchy. and definitely the priesthood. Um, okay, let's see. A regular source of revenue for the economy of Morocco. Oh boy. So now it's for the economy. As a matter of fact, as we read this, what do you think the people what are the people under the Sultan? What influence they have in him making this decision? I would say none, right? In fact, do they know about any of this? All they doing is trying to get to church on time, right? So who is doing all of this decision making, and who's involved in the decision making? Did it say anything about him consulting the people of Morocco? Hmm? So when the money starts rolling in, do the people even know about it? Huh? Uh, I mean, as far as we've seen at some junctures, the people be like, "What? Death to the infidels? Is that ain't that? Have we not seen that before? Death to me? Well, okay, but you still want my money? Your people still need my cheddar though. So how that work? If you're relying on me and I'm an infidel, what's your message from your God? What's that message about? If you favored, but your God ain't provide you what the heathen have, then maybe you should think about becoming a heathen, hmm? Instead of being such a damn hypocrite, fraud, phony. Be a heathen. Apparently, God blessed the land of the heathen. Uh, Favored the land of that word. I forget that. Highly favored the land of the heathen, but bless you, be blessed you, because you chasing the stuff the heathen got. How convenient for them to be heathen for you. Yet you will compromise your pious Almighty. You will compromise him so that you could get at the heathen's wealth. The Sultan took a number of measures to further this policy. Chief among them was his announcement on December 20th, 1777, that he wished to establish friendly relations with the newly independent United States of America. So we get rid of one monarchy, allegedly, because they didn't really go anywhere, right? They crept back on us in the corporation. So we get rid of one monarchy, and the other one is waiting at the door. It's like they got they put their hands out. They want to be friendly now. It would be interesting. Did I don't know. I don't know. Before we had independence, whose side was they on? Was they on anybody's side? They just saw. I think they just saw a money grab. You know, he took a number of measures to further this policy. But check out what he did, though. This is why I'm reading this article. Some shit went on. Some weirdness that I'm trying to like. Did I read that correctly? Chief among them was his announcement on December 20th, 1777, that he wished to establish friendly relations with the newly independent United States of America. In a practical move, the Sultan issued a declaration stating that all ships sailing under the American flag were to be allowed freely into Moroccan ports. Well, you trying to collect revenue. It's not that he's giving us anything. That's the thing here. He looking to collect more revenue than his country got, right? And then more than sub-Sahara Africa got, right? Where's all this wealth they had, y'all? Huh? Now, this is back in the day, right? 1700. So at what point was Africa this rich, wealthy, got all the diamonds? Huh? A lie. It's a lie. Look how this Sultan, look at all he's doing to get at America for quote unquote trade. So who got what? He's on the African continent, and he done moved his capital so that he could get at the good stuff. So who got the good stuff? I'll let y'all think about that for a minute, okay? Because somebody lying, y'all. Somebody lying. In a practical move, the Sultan issued a declaration stating that all ships under the American flag were to be allowed freely. What happened to be infidels? Can't y'all see your own hypocrisy? At least of your leaders? Who are they to tell you about God when they're chasing money? Why do they need all this money? A lot of, as far as I know, a lot of the countries are in that area, not like the people are living like kings and queens, right? So where's all this revenue going? You see, another thing, another angle of this is when your nobility, if you have nobility, which you really should not want, if they are looking for more revenue than you have in your country, right there, it tells you that you have been reduced. There's other interests at play other than the people of that land. Because if your leaders are bowing down to whoever got the most cheddar, you don't mean nothing to them no more. They don't, and see, that's what happens, I think, even with corporations. Definitely with corporations. Foreign interests supersede domestic interest, which means you, the people, you're not. That got nothing to do with you. We over you. We got you. You don't factor in. You're not our bottom line because we getting our what do you call it, income stream from somewhere else beside you. We don't need you. We don't need to appease you. We don't need to do what you want. You ain't the one that's bringing us the money. So sit down, get your little prayer on, and stay out of our business. Citizens. So he issued a declaration stating that all ships sailing under the American flag were to be allowed freely into Moroccan ports. He ordered the Moroccan maritime authorities to let in American ships to take refreshment and enjoy the same privileges as those offered to the crews of ships belonging to nations with which Morocco had treaties. But if you ain't got nothing, what you got for me? Oh boy. The implication of such a wise move by the Moroccan Sultan was the recognition of the newly independent American Republic, putting it on the same footing as other maritime powers with which Morocco had treaties of peace and trade. Thus, in 1777, Morocco became the first nation officially to recognize the independence of the United States. Now that I read this article, I think what it means to me is Morocco was the most desperate of all of the nations to get at our resources. That's the way I'm seeing it now. Of all other places, they needed our shit the most. Okay. Oh boy. Of course, given the distance between the countries and the lack of high-speed global communication systems, it took a while for the news to reach the United States government and for the Sultan's intent to become clear. Undaunted, the Sultan reissued his declaration announcing, this man is hungry, man, thirsty, announcing the opening of Moroccan ports to American vessels again 2 months later. So you make an announcement and we supposed to just show up. That's like, look, I told you, get your ass over here. And you didn't show up, and I'm going to say again. Perhaps we don't want trade with you. What if we didn't want your shit because it sounds like you don't got much? You know, what are you offering? You're the one in need. But the one that got don't have to come to your ports if you ain't got shit, right? I'm trying to figure this shit out. Really, I don't make no sense. Undaunted, the Sultan reissued his declaration announcing the opening of Moroccan ports to American vessels. Come! Land ho over here! That ho over here! Oh gosh. Months later, on February 20th, 1778, the declaration was communicated to all foreign consuls and merchants in all of Morocco's busiest ports, Tangiers, Salé, and Mogadar. All those old ports. Benjamin Franklin, who was at the time the American commissioner in Paris, caught wind of the Sultan's intent of seeking friendly relations with the United States. Mind you, this has nothing to do with the American Indian, okay? Let's just make sure we're clear on that. Because the Moors seem to think that they're our friends. No, you are our colonizers' friend, okay? That's the one you got a treaty with, okay? That don't got nothing to do with the Indians, right? Okay. Because, you know, they don't want to recognize us as the authority on our land. You know, I'm trying to think, we was minding our damn business pretty much, right? until a colonizer came. So what was Morocco doing before the colonizer arrived, huh? Before the colonizers came, what was they doing? They couldn't get on our shit, right? Apparently, right? Because we wasn't having that, right? That, oh, come on, let's just break it down. Them the ones that got expelled. That's why, okay? So first chance they get to come back is not through the American Indian, right? It's through the colonizers of the American Indian. And then our Constitution, which is basically it's dealing with commerce and how the corporation is, excuse me, how it is to conduct commerce, right? That's basically, so that's all about getting at our resources, basically, right? But at the same time, it did render us sovereign, right? But let's look at this now. The American Indian is here. The corporation got a constitution that we gave them. But that originally was just for the 13 colonies, right? So maybe that's what it was. See, when they done expanded their ass, so that's how they got at all of our land. They only, in other words, we gave them, it was the 13 colonies that original constitution. And I realize that's probably why they don't really go by that constitution. They don't. I'm telling y'all they don't. Okay. I'm telling, if they did, we would not be United States citizens right now. Okay. But I think another huge reason why that Constitution of 1787 is not fitting is because it only applied to 13 colonies, right? Didn't it? Wasn't it? Or the 13 states that had formulated? So technically, it is the other two constitutions that the corporation created, not we the people now. They went forward without the people and found a way to encroach. So do y'all see what a corporation can do even when you give them a constitution that gave them limits? Somehow they were able to surpass those limits. And I have to believe that it really had to do with, first of all, renaming the American Indians and also making everyone United States citizens. This is why we really don't want their model, because it's like an open door for fraud. Benjamin Franklin, who was at the time the American commissioner in Paris, caught wind of the Sultan's intent of seeking friendly relations with the United States through a letter from Deodibert Kelly, a French merchant in Morocco. Kelly had been appointed by the Sultan to serve as consul for all non-diplomatically represented countries in the kingdom. When Benjamin Franklin, I thought that was a little interesting. Non-diplomatically represented countries in the kingdom. Whose kingdom? What kingdom? I guess they're talking about Morocco. I don't know. When Benjamin Franklin was convinced that the message transmitted to him represented an official communique from the Sultan, he forwarded to the Committee of Foreign Affairs in the United States. By that time, Franklin had reportedly received 2 letters from Cale, who offered to serve as our minister with the emperor, and who wrote, His Imperial Majesty wondered why we had never sent a letter to thank him for being the first power on this side of the Atlantic that had acknowledged our independence and opened his ports to us. Well, maybe we wasn't looking for what you had to give. Well, I mean, it doesn't that matter? Does it matter what I'm speaking for the colonizer now. But what if I don't need shit that you got? Then what? What I need you for? But this man, to me, as I read this again, it's looking desperate. Like, I wouldn't be impressed because you know, what are you really offering me? Is it a down low threat of some sort? Because why are you, clearly I've got something you want, right? So if you have to tell me that you have something I want, that means I don't know about shit you got. And so I'm not interested. So was it a down low threat of some sort? I mean, I guess they are saying that America didn't have no Navy and all of that. I still don't know that America even needed trade. Look, we were the bread fucking basket, right? That's why the colonizers are here. If they wanted your shit, Morocco, they would have just came and tried to take over your shit. Do you understand? So they don't need your shit because that's why they're in America. So sit your ass down and just keep it quiet. You're looking desperate. You're looking thirsty. That's why I think it seemed to me that it's some kind of a down low threat or something. I don't know. But I don't know. And because look, we wondered why you didn't send us a letter to thank us. Is there I don't know, I'm feeling a little bit threatened by this, y'all. And I'm not even the colonizer, right? I'm sensing something like I'm best to say something to this brother, or because he ain't it's like when Pimp Daddy feel like the hoe ain't thankful. Meanwhile, the hoe is the one with the money, though. You know, I don't know. You didn't thank Big Daddy, you know. You ain't nothing till Big Daddy made you, or whatever. But see that what I just said. Benjamin Franklin ain't thinking about you. He in the land of milk and honey now. So that's, you know, it doesn't make sense. It's like somebody's trying to come off as I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. Don't you see me? Don't you see me? Don't you see me? I'm over here. Look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Yo, I'm swimming in the land of milk and honey right now. Could you chill for a minute? For a minute. Okay, so we, the Congress of the 13 United States of America. Okay, let me say, I'm sorry. A month later, wait. Okay, where did I leave off at? The official response of the Sultan's offer came. Okay, the official response to the Sultan's offer came from Samuel Huntington, the Speaker of Congress, in a letter to Commissioner Benjamin Franklin in Paris. Huntington's letter stated, in the name of Congress and in terms most respectful to the Emperor, that we entertain a certain disposition to cultivate the most perfect friendship with him, and are desirous to enter into a treaty of commerce with it, and that we shall embrace a favorable opportunity to announce our wishes. So that was the response. In the name of Congress, and in terms most respectful to the emperor, that we entertain a certain disposition to cultivate the most perfect friendship with him, and are desirous to enter into a treaty of commerce with him, and that we shall embrace a favorable opportunity. Favorable to who, though? If y'all don't even know what he got, how do you know that it's favorable? So this seems very tactical, pomp and circumstance-ish. A month later, in December 1780, the American government, or the United States, and see, at that point, isn't it just the 13 colonies? Sent an official response to the Moroccan offer. We, the Congress, of the 13 United States, 13 states now, they've took over the whole, state, whatever, of North America, have been informed of your Majesty's favorable regard to the interest of the people we represent. And who does the United States, who did they represent? They represented the colonizers, the pilgrims, the colonies, I should say. They didn't represent the American Indians, right? We should be aware of that, right? We, the Congress of the 13, that's who they represent, the 13 United States of North America, have been informed of your Majesty's favorable regard to the interests of the people we represent, which has been communicated by Monsieur Etienne de Audibert Cayley of Saley, Consul of Foreign Nations, unpresented in your Majesty's states. We assure you of our earnest desire to cultivate a sincere and firm peace and friendship treaty with your Majesty, and to make it lasting to all posterity. Should any of the subjects, that I think that's where my ears perked up, should any of the subjects of our states, shouldn't it be sovereigns of our states? Should any of the subjects of our states come within the ports of your Majesty's territories, we flatter ourselves they will receive the benefit of your protection and benevolence. But why would America need to even go to their ports is what I'm trying to figure out. When you have a nation that's practically begging you for trade, isn't it obvious that you have something they don't have? And it is if it's more important for them to have trade, that means you have the goods, is the way I see this. And I think what is really not being said is because you have the goods. If you come over here, we're going to take them unless we're in a treaty with you. And then we'll have. So, surrender nicely, Dorothy, and let's be friends. Because I know you got some good shit, and I want it. Boy, oh boy. And I like this, should any of the subjects. So now you're talking about, you just got rid of Britain, allegedly. And they are no longer subjects, right? So why would, who was it again? Okay, so it was somebody, okay. So this is the colonizers people. We, the Congress of the 13 United States of North America, have been informed. So it's the Congress talking of your blah, 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 blah. But who was that again? Huntington? It was Samuel Huntington is referring to the new Americans as subjects. I find that very interesting. Of our states, if our subjects come within the ports of your Majesty's territory, we flatter ourselves they will receive benefit of your protection and benevolence. You may assure yourself of every protection and assistance to your subjects. They're talking about the people as subjects. From the people of these states, whenever or wherever they may have it in their power. So this is how I look at this, y'all. I'm seeing that an element got expelled from America. They became all these kings and queens over in what we're calling the East. The minute that a colonizer comes to America, these expellees are now jumping at the chance to get their hands on American resources. But in exchange, it sounds like what's not being said is, you can come over here. So can we come over there? You see? Because the offer made is that safe passage in Morocco. But it's Morocco that's really sort of like doing too much to get this thing going. So it's more like they want to be able to come over here, is what I'm getting from this. So the colonizer will let them in, whereas the American Indians expelled that element. How were they expelled? Well, when Akhenaten started trying to make monotheism, that's when we called him a heretic in the Americas. And he had to go. So he goes to Africa, and now Africa and Europe become the first places of monarchy. Of monotheism. That's how this happened. We expelled the monotheistic element from the Americas because we were not interested in a king ruling over in such an oppressive manner. And what made it oppressive is that it discarded all American ancestors except one malevolent deity ancestor. Between Set and Apep. And like I said, it was the Mongolians, pardon me, sorry, that were worshiping Apep, who had been renamed Kukulkan, Amaru, and Quetzalcoatl. So the monotheism involved transfer of the worship of benevolent deities to the worship of Apep, and then conglomerate versions of the benevolent deity. So Ra becomes Amen Ra, a word spell, where Ra is secondary when he should have been primary. So if you have a word spell that puts Ra in the tail end of the word, that means you're not honoring Ra. Not really. Not really. He's supposed to be first because he is the most high according to the ancients of Tameri. So when you put something in front of his name, that's like, say your name is, your first name, like my name, is Anthony. But then somebody renames you Mark Anthony or something like that. So you took my first name and made it my second name. You see what I'm saying? So imagine when you do it to a deity. What have you just done to that deity? You've demoted him. You secondaried him. He is not first. So you take Apep. Well, you have to rename them anyway. But when it comes to displacing primary deities, you take their name and make it second. With Apep, you have to completely change his. Let me see. Pepe. Okay, so we did have pharaohs that call themselves Pepe. So that's a nod that they were worshiping Apep. But well, just suffice to say, a lot of renaming going on. Part of it is just to hide the identity of the deity being Egyptian or Tamarian. So there's two different reasons for renaming. There's, one is to make a primary deity secondary, and the other one is to just hide the identity completely. With Amaru, again, that's just Apep. If it's a dragon, it's Apep, who was the first known dragon deity in Tameri. Okay, Tameri was first before Sumeria, and Atlantis doesn't count, nor does any mythological place count. Tameri was real. Mu and all of that is fairy tale. Mu and fairy tale. Okay. When I did look up Queen Mu, she's rocking at, I believe, the time of Cleopatra, if I remember correctly. So already we're talking about years after the invasion of time, or it would have been, I guess, the Africa, Egypt, by Ptolemy. So again, if I remember correctly, what I read, Queen Mu we're talking about Cleopatra time, which is already that's like the latest dynasty, the later dynasty, like the 25th dynasty was when so we go from dynasty 1, which was circa 34 or 3150 BC, and Mu is talked about with, it was Cleopatra, I believe. And so that would have been like the 25th, like the 20, what is that? The 25th dynasty wasn't that the Wait. Suffice to say, it's one of the later, much later dynasties. So Mu is not really before Tameri. Let's see if we can look it up real quick. Mu, the Queen Mu. Let's Queen Mu. Okay. Okay. I mean, we could look at. Okay. Let me see. Oh, she's a Mayan queen. I'm sorry. It wasn't Cleopatra. She's a Mayan queen. Okay. That's what I meant. I'm sorry. I went a little too far. She was so Maya is 2600 or 2000 BC, right? So again, she's coming around the Maya, which is not the oldest. That's what I saw. So I got that wrong. Sorry, I know it was when it was a Mayan. Let's just look at it really quickly at this thing here, okay? Queen Mu is a mythical Mayan queen written about by Augustus Le Plongeon and his wife Alice Dixon Le Plongeon. The Plongeons undertook the first excavation at Chichen Itza, or of Chichen Itza, in 1875, and based their theories about Queen Mu on the murals, and inscriptions that they found there. It is generally accepted that Plongion's theories are not supported by archaeological evidence. Therefore, Queen Mu is considered an actual character. Now, wait a minute. If his theories are not supported by archaeological evidence, then Queen Mu should not be considered an actual character. That's how I'm reading this. They said she's mythical. So then how is it she's considered an actual character? The Plangion believed that Queen Mu was a historical Mayan queen whose life was documented in the carved bas reliefs, statues and paintings he found at Chichen Itza. He asserted that Mu and her husband Prince Ko, also known as Chakmu, were the inspiration for the Egyptian myth. Now, see, this is where it doesn't make sense. How are they the inspiration for Isis and Osiris when Isis and Osiris came before her? That's why Tameri is important. Again, I'll always say that. So here they're acting like Osar and Aset, or Isis and Osiris, came after Queen Mu, and that's not true. Someone had suggested to do a little breakdown of Queen Mu, and this might sort of somewhat put it in a nutshell. She does not predate Osiris and Isis, so I don't know why they're saying that she influenced them. She could only be a result of them, not the other way around. That's why, again, indigenous or American Indians, this is why we have to go back to Tameri, because we have hijacks happening as early as the Maya. Do you see what I'm saying? Am I making sense? So if they trying to say that Maya was first, then they also are hijacking Maya. Because they trying to say it came before Tameri, and it didn't, right there. They thought Mu was the inspiration for no. Isis and Osiris came before her. So see how they hijacking even Maya? That's why we have to go beyond Maya to get at our original ancestors who were Tamarians. Oh, God. Well, I'm glad we touched upon this because it can't be overstated. Look how far back they're going to hijack America's legacy. So the only thing that is strictly American is Tamari. I promise you. At this point, I'm promising you that. And again, why Tamari? It's where all the religions are coming from. Did I not tell you that when I set out to learn all these, what I thought was so originally and esoterically, and all I kept hearing was, well, it came from Egypt, and well, we went in Egypt, and when we went to Egypt, and I started to realize, why am I going with the secondary? I should just go straight to Tamari. And so that's where everything leads. It leads to Tamari. And that's why they would like the American Indian to not think about Egypt. They went so far as to put it in Africa to take it from you. But they want it in their territory. You see what I'm saying? Why do they want Tamari in their territory? So they can claim first birthright. And they took that, they didn't, and this is not an affront to Jewish people, but I'm saying they would have made that first if that was the goal. But in other words, the first thing they grabbed and put on Africa was Egypt. Later on, they make an Israel. So what was coveted first, American Indians? It was your birthright. And then the others can come later. But so if the Hebrews were primary, then why didn't you just make, an Israel in Africa first? And back when you transferred Tamari to Africa. And if Christianity was the end all be all, then why wasn't there, why the Vatican why didn't you make that first in Africa? And Islam came much later. Christianity was first in the creations because they had to get, again, Isis and Osiris were made into the Father and the Holy Spirit. Isis became apparently the Holy Spirit because the Father would be Osiris. So the son was HERU, and he was changed into a son who did not fight at all, right? All he did was sacrifice himself, right? But as we know, sacrifice don't really work because you're still going to be judged. In other words, there's no way that you get out of your responsibility. They're teaching us that so that we can, what they would like for American Indians to do is to burn in somebody's hell. So if you believe that somebody else took away your sin, that means you're never gonna be accountable. You're never gonna be responsible. So your response. In other words, somebody is replacing you. So you're replaceable. That's another thing. You're replaced by something. It's not really you. It's a corporate fiction of you. So that's why you don't really want a savior. I know it's like, but I need one. No, you don't. How do you think you breathe? The savior, you was breathing before you had a savior, right? Before you accepted the savior, right? Now, what I find interesting about all of this is that it's just interesting that Adam, within the story, if you go with the narrative, Adam gives you sin freely. You don't have to ask for it, you just get it, right? But to get salvation, you gotta want that. You know, it's just very. And then they say, just like through one man sin entered the world, through one it's taken out of the world. But you have to ask for it. I didn't ask to be a sinner, right? I was automatically made one. So why would I have to ask if I didn't make sin come, but it was somebody else, and it's just accredited to me? Why do I have to ask for it to be taken away? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, just like I didn't ask Adam to do it. Why? See, well, that's what happens when somebody else is made your responsible for you. Every person is responsible for themselves. That's the hardcore truth. That's a hardcore reality. But it is a very worthy reality. We don't want duplicates. We don't want replacements. That is what I'm trying to get at here. Because they all serve to nullify you. And why should you be nullified if you have the breath of life in you? In other words, why as long as I have breath, that means the Spirit of God is dwelling in me. Now, some people will have a hard time with that. But the narrative that you'll get from, say, Christianity is that, oh, God don't want, it ain't with you no more. Oh, yes, he is. Every breath I take is God, okay? Me being alive is God. He's always with. So don't lie to me to try to get me to run and duplicate myself or replace myself with something you created that is not even legitimate. Come on now. Come on now. Y'all, you know, And then you're going to force it on me. See, that's the other thing. That's how you know that there's some bullshit. So I'm supposed to seek salvation, but that's not how it was brought to me. It was forced on me. And the ones who did it, they couldn't have cared shit about me because they too busy grabbing my land, right? So the idea was make me guilty so you could take my land, and now all of a sudden I need a savior. Somebody to further nullify me and make me nothing, or see myself as nothing or irrelevant. I'm very relevant. And the only time I'm made irrelevant is when a church decides that they want my land. Mind you, God was with us before the Church of Rome, wasn't he? He put, for Christ's sake, he put us on the land of milk and honey. I guess he had some kind of favor for us, right? But not according to this church. Yet the church is all, again, just grabbing for your shit. If you were all that, wouldn't you have your own? That goes for Morocco. That goes for the Vatican. That goes for the British monarchy. If y'all was down with God, then why didn't he give you a landmass that you wouldn't have to try to steal mine? That's an interesting question, right? Yet I'm supposed to think that I'm condemned by God, living on the richest land mass that he got for me? Huh? So you're lying to me. You're lying about yourself and you're lying about me. So we went off track for a minute, but I just wanted to quickly, and yes, it is Wikipedia, but you know what? The wonderful thing about Wikipedia is right down here, right? So before we go to, you know, saying, oh, you can't use it, just know that there's your references, okay? They do provide some, you know. So here's, we could click on here, right? Le Plongeon. They basing it on his book, right? Okay. Oh, and so sometimes this stuff can be, you know, you don't really want to. Okay. Okay. So then it done took it away. That this leads to all kinds of craziness, but it is based on his book. That's who they're naming. Okay. So Mystical Queen, written by blah, 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 and they talking about his book. Okay. So that's the reference. You could get his book. So, you know, that's what we do. And this man thought that his wife was Queen Mu. So you know he was crazy. But anyway, um, yeah, it says you can read it. I just, you know, I'm just okay, so yeah, so he found a mural and just went all the way with it, you know. But needless to say, this is why we know that Maya is already they can't hijack Tameri like they can do with this stuff. Okay. Oh, check this out. Le Plongion's books were published with the aid of who? The Freemasons, as Plongeon was a Mason himself. So, um, yeah, yeah. So, Mu is appearing at the time of the Maya, and the Maya are not the first people of Tameri. I think that should put a perspective on Mu. I wonder if there's something we could do that with Atlantis. Let's see what it says about Atlantis. What the hell? Ah. Oh boy. A fictional island. This is why, see, there's nothing fictional about ancient Tameri. Okay, you're not going to find something say Tameri, a fictional place. Da, 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 da. In both instances of Mu and Tameri, we have fiction, and corporations like fiction. They want to make fiction. See, they use the fiction to replace the real. Uh, I just don't even feel like going down this rabbit hole. To be honest with you, again, there I don't know of any artifacts that are said to be actually authenticated as being from Atlantis. Let's see if they have any here. Oh, there's the Maya again. Oh boy. So they're trying to say that Maya might have came from a fictitious place called Atlantis. Madame Blavatsky, Edgar Casey, a clairvoyant who spoke. That's how I feel about it. I don't see that there's any artifacts. Yeah, they're not doing artifacts here. Now with the Queen Mu, I think they offered that mural. Uh Lemuria. Hypothetical lost continent. Oh boy. Okay. Okay, this is a little different. Lemuria was a continent proposed in 1864 by zoologist Philip Scatler. There he is. Scatler theorized to have sunken beneath the Indian Ocean. Lemuria was hypothesized. It was hypothesized. It's the sunken place. Postulation. Look at these. Look at the words that they're using for this. After gaining some acceptance within the scientific community, the concept of Lemuria began to appear in the works of other scholars. Oh, Lord. Oh, boy. The coat of arms of the British Indian Ocean Territory with the inscription in Latin, Lemuria is in our charge trust. Good Lord. The Lemuria theory disappeared completely from conventional scientific consideration after the theories of plate tectonic and continental drift were accepted by the larger scientific community. According to the theory of plate tectonics, Madagascar and India were indeed part of the same landmass, thus accounting for geological resemblances. But plate movement caused India to break away millions of years ago and move to its present location, the original landmass Mauritius. I'm sorry, present location. The original landmass Mauritius and the supercontinent Gondwana, prior to that, broke apart. It predominantly did not sink beneath sea level. Since the 1880s, the concept of Lemuria has had a prominent place in mythology of theosophy. Blavatsky theorized that Australia was a remnant inland region of Lemuria, and that Aboriginal Australians and Aboriginal Tasmanians, which she identified as separate groups, were of Lemurian and Lemuro-Atlantean origin. Oh, Lord. Now they got an Atlantis and Lemuria. Two myths trying to make facts. Oh, God. Okay, so the first ruling race. Oh boy, look at the lies, y'all. Come on. Where did it go? Oh, I made it too big. The first ruling race. Try to get this. I done made it too big, y'all. Sorry about that. So the Mongolians are the second, which is interesting because that's kind of what I would have to agree with. The first ruling race, Mediterranean, Semitic, Caucasian, oh Lord, Basque, Indo-Germanic. So I guess they're saying ruling. So they're the first ruling. Yeah, in that hemisphere, maybe. The second ruling race was the Mongolian. Oh, look at this. Mediterranean. So they think they're saying Mediterraneans with, that's the whole, I guess, out of Africa theory, basically. Uh Papuan. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. They have up here that the first ruling race, but down here it looked like they got Papuan. Then Hottentots, so that they try to say Africa. Then Caffres, then Negroes. Uh, then Australians, then Mayans, then Mongolians, then Arctics, then Americans, then Dravidians, then Nubian, then Mediterranean. Yeah, this all out of order. America's first, y'all. Don't fall for this bullshit. Don't fall for this bullshit. But well, it is interesting. It looked like they put America in the East over here. It looks like hypothetical sketch. So they're making their area all this large, but you got to really think about it. Was it that large really? When it was so easy to get to get the Mongolian spread out, like was it really that big? I don't think so. Like they said, that's just one landmass that they trying to make like it's this big, huge, and I just don't buy it. You know, it's not that big because it's very easy to get from place to place over there, and that's how the Mongolian, were able to be a empire because it's all very fairly close distance. Because you got to think now, um, they, transportation in those times that there was no cars, were there? You know, so I just don't think that it would be that easy to have a Mongolian empire unless it was very close. And then the farthest they had to go was to the Americas, you know. Uh, so the second ruling race are the Mongolian. We're the first American Indians. We're the first. Tom Murray was right here. And pardon me, I kept saying Brazil. I meant South America. I for some reason I thought this whole thing was Brazil. I'm going to admit my ignorance. I thought this whole thing was Brazil. But it's South America and Brazil is in South America. I've got it wrong. Okay. All right. All right. All right. So made statements saying that Tom Murray was in Brazil, but I should have said South America. Sorry, I really, I don't want to be more confusing than all this shit it already is, you know. But I guess we better get back to the article. Now, where is it? Okay. We, the Congress of the 13 United States. See, Congress was only. I believe this is why they have a problem with that first Constitution, y'all. I never talked about it, but it has to be that it didn't. The first Constitution was only for basically the 13 states. You know, that's why the territorial one is so important, because what we're basically saying is that a foreign corporation in the United States got territories outside of the 13 states. So technically, it seems to me that it's the Constitution, the second territorial Constitution. This is why they, they don't like to deal with the first one, is because the territorial one deals with all the acquisitions of the corporation, and the corporation only had 13. But by the time it made the territorial constitution, wow, what does that mean, y'all? I just thought about it. It means that only the 13 states really have, oh shit. Oh, well, it's looking like Indians that were in the 13 states are the ones who are sovereign, but the other Indians in the outside of the 13 states or colonies, I don't know if they was part of that original, they weren't part of the original first Constitution, right? That only applied to us Indians on the East Coast who were trying to work with these motherfuckers, and they recognized that we weren't part of them, but then we got pulled in by virtue of being in the states that they were taking over. You see what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is that Constitution really applies to Indians that were in the Carolinas, that will be my people, Indians that were in Virginia, Georgia, would have been. I think that's the extent of it. I don't, Georgia, the Carolinas, Virginia, the 13. So it's only us Indians that really were involved. Boy, I never thought of that before. Because, so often you think of the Constitution and you think of all of the states in America. But then Carolina didn't want to be part of that no more. That's why the Confederate, we gotta, I don't know, I guess gotta look into this, because there's something going on with us Indians that are in these 13 states. We're being punked, man. That's what I'm trying to say. And we're not supposed to be under this corporation. And I think we really have to seek to be independent of it again and assert our authority, So our land was so important because it was the closest thing to Europe, right? And it was the easiest to get to and all that. And then the ports, to take our shit and ship it over. I just hope our Indians go for our true sovereignty. Because, man, it looks like it's not going to be till the next life. If we don't do it now, I don't think we're going to get to do it until another lifetime. And it's just going to be more raping of America until then. We can't settle for the okie doke. We got to try not to settle for the fucking okie doke. What's the okie doke? That we just settle at becoming a corporation and think that means we got our sovereignty back. No, we're doing nothing as the men and women of the land, as Indians. We're only taking care of the straw man, and I'm not even sure that that's really doing it, because he's getting fucked over too. As a United States citizen, he's just getting fucked over. The corporate, so that entity it literally is a dead entity because it has no say. So we don't want that. We don't want to settle for being a corporate thing. We got to get back to being the men and women Indians of the land, and back to that original, especially us, of these 13 states Indians, especially us. Because I'm thinking by the time the territorial constitution came along, that's when United States citizens were a thing. I'm thinking, let me see, 1860. No, wait a minute. No, the United States citizen came in 1868, I think it was. So the second constitution was 1789. So yeah, okay. So I got that part wrong. So, but still, they had another set of amendments that were not done when the real Congress was in place. So in other words, when we 13 of the 13 states were involved, we had our people in Congress. But that changed, as we know. And the South was never really, that whole thing where they said we surrendered. I don't know if was that really us talking, that said, oh, we lost, oh, we lost and we tried, but we lost. Was that really us that said that? Or was it somebody speaking for us, but it was really somebody from the North, well, of the Union. But anyway, things to think about and talk about in another video, I guess. So, okay. We assure you of our earnest desire to cultivate a sincere and firm peace and friendship with your majesty, and to make it lasting to all posterity. Should any of the subjects, that kind of really, that word, it didn't sit right with me, of our states. Now that would be us Indians too, right? Oh well, they're in our territory, in our states, in our, come within ports of your majesty's territory, we flatter ourselves they will receive the benefit of your protection. Well, we didn't get protection as Indians when when some of our people had to declare that they were Islamic to get the protection of the peace treaty, the Morocco, right? So in other words, the Indians were not allowed to really be seen as part of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, because in order to do that, you had to claim that you were not, you had to be of Islam. So was that real tolerance? Now, earlier in this article, we read that Miss Thing had to become tolerant to get at these goods over here. Well, how are you tolerant if you don't protect Indians who are being, treated bad as indentures or whatever? How is that tolerance when you're not allowing them to be who they are? They have to be Muslim to be seen that they're not a Negro. They have to be under the Sultan or whatever, or somehow maybe at that point they had their people here and those were the ones that were being protected, and the Moors are, windmilling for those people that were, I don't know. Well, all I know is that it wasn't carte blanche that the Indians were seen as being protected from what this corporation was doing to us, because it's like we had to tell the corporation, no, I'm from Morocco, and then the corporation wouldn't treat us, a certain type of way according to what the narrative, how the narrative went. You may assure yourself of every protection and assistance to your subjects from the people of these states, whenever and wherever they may have it in their power. We pray your majesty may enjoy long life and uninterrupted prosperity. Neither of the two nations, meanwhile, was enjoying easy or smooth transition. Yeah. The new U.S. Republic was absorbed in its war with Great Britain, and Morocco faced the challenge of drought and securing more stable relations with both Spain and Britain. Therefore, the matter of developing friendly relations necessarily had to be put on hold. To get America's attention, now check this out, and make it clear that Morocco's offer was not to be taken for granted, Morocco captured an American merchant ship. Morocco captured an American merchant ship, the Betsy, on October 11th, 1784, and took it and its crew and cargo to the port of Tangier. So it wasn't going to Tangier, it was pirated and taken to Tangier. The Americans understood the Sultan's move and decided it was high time they negotiated a peace and friendship treaty with Morocco. Interesting. In 1785, preparations for a treaty with Morocco were underway. So they hijacked you in October of 1784. And in 1785, preparations of a treaty of Morocco was underway. Wow. But they had, I guess it was before the treaty, to get America's attention. They see how much they're doing. It just seems very desperate to me. It just seems like clearly we have something you want. You are what? Capturing an American merchant ship and took it and its crew and cargo to the port of Tangier. Well, why? How is that? How is that a good thing? I don't know. In 1785, preparations for a treaty with Morocco were underway. The U.S. government appointed Thomas Barclay, the American consul in Paris, to negotiate the treaty with Morocco. The treaty, known as the Treaty of Marrakech, or the Treaty of Peace and Freedom and the U.S. government appointed Thomas Barclay, the American consul in Paris, to negotiate the treaty with Morocco. The treaty, known as the Treaty of Marrakech, or the Treaty of Peace and Amity, opened new horizons of mutually beneficial diplomatic and trade cooperation between the Moroccan and American nations. The treaty, sealed by the Sultan, was delivered to Barclay to transmit to American commissioners Thomas Jefferson in Paris and John Adams in London, who in turn signed it as representatives of the American government. They're not even in America when this is happening, huh? But the Sultan had to get their attention, right? The U.S. Congress ratified the treaty in 1778. In 1789, President George Washington wrote a letter of appreciation to his great and magnanimous friend, Sultan Muhammad III. Within our territories, there are no mines of either gold or silver, and this young nation, just recovering from the waste and desolation of long war, has not as yet had time to acquire riches by agriculture and commerce. But our soil is bountiful and our people industrious, and we have reason to flatter ourselves that we shall gradually become useful to our friends. It gives me pleasure to have this opportunity of assuring your majesty that I shall not cease to promote every measure that may conduce to friendship and harmony, which so happily subsists between your empire and them, American territories. May the Almighty bless your majesty with his constant guidance and protection. Letter of appreciation from George Washington to Mohammed bin Abdallah following the signature of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship signed in Marrakesh in 1787. The Treaty of Marrakesh remains in effect to this very day and is considered to be the longest unbroken friendship treaty in the history of both Morocco and the United States. So I guess, yeah, that last part looks like it was written by George Washington. Well, anyway, I think I'm going to end this for now. Starting to drift a little bit. But there you have, we had more to cover, but I think for now we're going to leave it at this. Just a very interesting article. Yeah, that's George Washington saying there are either no mines of gold or silver. And this young nation, just recovering from the waste and desolation of long war, has not as yet had time to acquire riches by agriculture or commerce. But our soil is bountiful and our people industrious. And we have reason to flatter ourselves that we shall gradually become useful to our friends. Well, your friends already seem to know about that. How is it that Morocco knew about what we had over here, right? That they were so anxious, because they were expellees. That's how they knew what was over here. So we got to take our land back, American Indians. Everything is in our favor in divine providence, because what's happening to us is just it's too lie ridden, too many lies, too many cooks in the kitchen, etc. So I'm gonna stop my share for now. Yeah, I got it early in the morning. All of a sudden I'm tired again. So we will resume this conversation. It's an ongoing conversation regarding our sovereignty, and we have to look at how the state nationals are going about, establishing themselves. I believe that's the golden key to how American Indians, how we need to establish ourselves, not as little franchises of the corporation. That's not going to get us anything but more domination by a larger corporation. So thank you for watching. We'll have to look at an Anna video again at some point soon. Okay. Health, wealth, peace, prosperity, math, your land back, your identity back, and all the good things. Thank you. Till next.